Hi, my name's David, and this evening I am running the first in a short series of the role-playing game Die. Die, as in the singular of dice, is a, a role-playing game currently in playtest, created by Kieran Gillen. The game is based on his series of comics of the same name that he writes with Stephanie Hans illustrating. The comics are really good. I do recommend you checking them out. And this game, as I said, is currently in public playtest. I will put a link down below where you can check out the rules for it if you are interested. This game has been arranged through the Gauntlet Hangouts calendar. The Gauntlet is an online role-playing games community. We get together and play a lot of games, from sort of story games through to OSR, any sort of indie games really, across the spectrum. As well as these sort of gaming sessions, there's also some collection of podcasts. There's a monthly gaming zine that's released called Codex, which has all sorts of stuff on games, both material for existing games, new short form games, all sorts of cool stuff. So again, do check that out. We also have just a website with forums and the like on it, which quite fun. Again, you can find links to all that stuff below. The site is gauntlet-rpg.com. So check that out if you're interested. So, to give a brief description of what Die is, you will learn more shortly. I suppose one thing to shout out just before we begin, if you are watching this, there will obviously be spoilers for potentially for both the comics and the game itself as we play through this evening. So just be aware of that before we begin. But Die is a game about a group of role players who meet up to play a game after having been apart for a little while. And we will explore their relationships as they experience the game that they play. So that's sort of the premise of what we're doing this evening. For this particular game, we'll go through all this in a minute. As we create our personas, the characters we'll be playing, who are in themselves playing a role-playing game, it gets very meta. The sort of context we're playing in, we will be playing a group of young adults, about sort of 21, 22 years old. We're in England, a small rural village, Christmas time in 2004. Our characters will all have left school at 18. Well, left high school at 18. And since then, we've all been doing our own things. Maybe we've been at university. Maybe we have been working. Maybe we've been traveling the world. Who knows? But we will find all that out in a moment. We have met up as everyone's home for Christmas and we've decided to meet up and play a session of a game for this evening, for the first time in a few years. So, with all that said and done, I will just ask my players to introduce themselves, please. Walter, I'll start with you this time, if that's okay.
Hi, I'm Walter, he, him. And yeah, I'm playing from California, and I've been playing with the Gauntlet for going on 2 years now.
Cool, thank you. And yeah, Puckett, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Puckett, he, him pronouns. I've been playing with the Gauntlet for a few months, something like that.
Hi, yeah, Pearl, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
That's the button I was looking for. I'm Pearl. I use she, her pronouns. I have been on the Gauntlet for 2.5 months, almost exactly, I think. I think that's about it for me. I like role-playing things. So, yeah.
Perfect. Yes, and finally, Justin.
Hey, I'm Justin. I use he, him pronouns. I've been hanging around the Gauntlet for honestly like a couple of years, but I've only just started playing games with you all in the last few months. I think this will be my 4th game with the Gauntlet. The last 3 of which were all ones that I designed. so which maybe I'll do more of. I'm actually designing more stuff, and I'm excited to bring that to the Gauntlet eventually. Thanks.
Perfect. That's always good to have new stuff coming out. So lovely to have you here. Yes. So before we get into creating our personas, I will just quickly go over safety. So when playing any games on the Gauntlet, we always like to make sure that we put the comfort and enjoyment of our players first and foremost. Part of this is based around the Gauntlet inclusivity policy. This is again available on the website, links down below, etc. The Gauntlet inclusivity policy boils down to basically the fact we're going to treat each other as friends. We're all here to enjoy ourselves, play a fun game. We'll treat each other with respect, with generosity, with kindness, all that sort of stuff. It's phrased a bit more eloquently in the document itself, but that's the core drive of what it says. So that's kind of guiding how we're going to interact with each other. It's not groundbreaking stuff, but just important to be aware of. We'll also be we've had, before we began, we had lines and veils conversation about this, so setting down topics that we're either going to not deal with at all or just kind of allude to have happen off screen rather than actually make this the focus of our game this evening. So I said we've had that discussion offline. We're keeping a document of that. That is a living document. If there's anything you want to add as stuff comes up in play, feel free to do so. That's what it's there for. We'll also be using a couple of safety tools on top of all of that. Primarily, we'll be using the script change tool by Barry Sheldon, which is essentially a series of commands. I don't think I've actually put that PDF in the shared folder yet. I'll do that when we go on break, but I'll just explain it quickly now. So essentially, we have a number of command words essentially to control the game. Think of it like a remote control essentially. The probably most important one to start off with is pause. You can call pause at any time for any reason to just stop the game for a moment. We can have a quick out of character conversation about anything that you have an issue with, whether that might be as simple as oh wait, sorry, I've just got to go and answer the door quickly, I'll be back in 2 minutes. Or it might be that you don't like the direction the scene's going in and we want to sort of clarify that or close that off before we go somewhere we don't want to go. So that's what pause is there for. Like I said, anything really that you just want to take a brief break from the game. It may even just be that the scene's getting quite intense and you just literally want, can I just have 30 seconds to kind of have a drink of water and breathe before we carry on. Anything is fine. Rewind can be called if something's happened in a scene that you're not happy with and you want to go back and kind of edit that out, find a different way to go forward. That might be because the scene's gone in a direction you don't like, or it might be that you think, actually, I've just realized that what I said was really stupid. Can I go back and say something different? Anything like that is fine. You can use rewind for that. So I'm doing these from memory, so I may forget or mistake myself here, but fast forward, it's pretty much what it sounds like. Let's just say, can we just skip over this? It might be again to skip over like certain content. You say, I'm happy with this. I'm fine with this happening, but can we just not dwell on it and just move on? I don't need to see. I don't need a big in-depth discussion about how this guy is, getting beaten up. Can we just assume he's beaten up and that's it? Or it might be you think, actually, I think this scene's just kind of going around in circles. Can we try and move it on and get to a point where we can actually progress with stuff? And again, anything like that's fine. Then we get into the ones I always forget. There is resume, which is basically just to say we'll go back into play now we've sorted out whatever we need to sort out. That's fine. There is I always forget the name of this one. I'll link the PDF in when we go on the next break. But that's essentially just to say scene by scene. That's it. So or frame by frame, I should say, which is just to say we'll take scenes slowly. So if we're edging around territory you think might be uncomfortable, or you're just unsure of, you can say, can we do this frame by frame? And it just means it will basically, we'll stop to check in with each other a bit more frequently. We'll just be aware of stuff that we're dealing with and make sure we don't cross any lines that people don't want to deal with. That's what that's there for. And finally, instant replay, which can be used basically at the end of a scene to just like clarify what happened in the scene and make sure that you, like, say if you get to the end of the scene and you think, wait a minute, did you steal the emerald or not? I wasn't certain, but I just want to clarify just so I know going forwards where that's at. Or it might be just be to say, you might use it just to say, I really like what you were doing in that scene. It would be cool if we got more of that sort of stuff going forwards. Any of those sort of call outs as well, you can use instant replay for. Finally, we have the X card in play, which can be used at any point to, again, just to sort of basically stop the game, and then we'll have a quick discussion about what we need to do to proceed. So generally speaking, if there's a specific content you're not happy with and you want to remove, if you X card it and say I want to X card whatever, we'll just remove that from the game. We won't touch on that again. We'll add that to our lines and veils and we'll just move on. Feel free to use that whenever you feel the need. You can invoke the X card by putting your hands up, sort of doing the X sign, by putting something in the chat at the side, or just by saying I'd like to X card that, please. You won't have to justify why you're X carding something. Basically the same when we're talking about like the pause function in script change. You don't have to justify yourself, though. I might need you to clarify exactly what's being X carded, just so we know what it is that we want to move past, what want to affect, what want to change, and that's fine. But like I said, you don't need to justify why you're asking for that. Just the fact you're asking for it is enough. Likewise, if anyone does sort of say, can we, I'd like to X card that content that you've brought in, don't feel that you need to apologize for that. We don't all know what's some people are going to be uncomfortable with or not, and that's just a thing. We don't need to make a big deal out of it. So I think that's our safety tools covered off. So we will now go on to persona creation. For this section, we will be creating a group of we'll be meeting a group of old friends who, as I said, old acquaintances at the very least, who all played together in a role-playing game back when they were in high school, as it's now about 4 years ago. The way we will come up with these characters is basically just by asking each other some questions. It should be noted as well for this section of the game, I'm essentially just playing a facilitator role. I will also be creating a persona alongside the rest of you, who will be the character who will run the game that you are playing in. So I sort of don't have any special GM privileges in this section of the game. We are just going to, I'll probably lead off with asking some questions, but when in this section, it's like a free for all for everyone to ask questions of the other players about their personas. Don't feel that you have to wait for me to ask a question. If you think, hey, it would be, if you think you have an interesting question you want to know about another persona, do feel free to ask. It should be noted as well, this part of the game isn't mechanical at all. All we're looking at doing here is creating some kind of fleshed out characters who we are who we'll be playing, sort of thing. So we're just gonna, and I'll be taking some notes as well in the character keeper. Feel free to add your own notes too, but I'll be kind of jotting down stuff to keep it straight in my head. I also do apologize for I have quite a clacky keyboard, so there will be probably some background noise while I'm doing that. Cool. So before we begin the actual character creation section, does anyone have any questions?
Pearl asked in the side chat about Largo.
I don't know about that myself, I'm afraid. Sorry, that's new to me. But we if it's something you'd like to use, we can certainly do so.
I only learned it recently doing LAOGs or LAUGs or whatever you want to call them, because you are in character and it's harder to like moderate tone and stuff. It's sort of, I don't want to say X card light, but it's like if you had a stoplight system, it would be yellow instead of red. And you just hold your hands up to the screen. So if you're having like a conflict with another character and they're like yelling at you, or it's getting too heated and you feel like you don't want to stop the scene by like X carding it, but you need them to back off a little bit, you just hold your hands up and then it moderates the tone.
Yeah. No, that sounds cool. Yeah, that sounds like I'm happy for us to use that as well. As I said, that's also a thing where we use sort of pause as well if we want to, just for that sort of thing. But yeah, it's quite good as well having a kind of non-verbal way of doing it, so that you can like I said, not interrupt somebody's flow, but just
like they don't have to stop. The scene doesn't have to stop. It just like, you know, if you're yelling, lower your tone. If you're cursing, maybe, you know what I mean? I feel like it's
yeah, no, it sounds good. That sounds good.
I don't know. I found we didn't actually end up using it, but we like did a little warm-up practice on it in the thing I did yesterday, and I thought it was neat. So
yeah, no, that's cool. That sounds good. Yeah, perfect. So I think with that said, we will begin. I'll do a very brief overview. I said I did put a little setting document in the shared folder. Actually, I will just share it again because I can't remember if I've shared it since Justin joined the call. So bear with me 1 second.
I do have a question. You shared a drive with us. What are we expected to drop into there? Just inspirational pictures,
you will be getting a character sheet in there shortly. Actually, yes, I will add the other two of you who haven't put your names in the character keeper onto there in a sec. But yeah, yes, that's that's a little private area for you and me to have some documents. So feel free to add any documentation of your own you want to in there as well. I'll probably actually do a proper. What I haven't done for this session, because I completely forgot, I will admit, is actually put together like an interactive character sheet at the minute. It's just the actual PDFs themselves. I will put together sort of some more interactive character sheets for next time. But I think we should manage as is for this evening. Cool. So yes, I will give a very brief overview of the little town we will be playing in. Our characters are, if not from, at least went to school in. So this, as I mentioned at the top of the recording, this game is going to be set in about the year 2004 in a small town in East Anglia in England. This town is fictional. Its name is Keythorpe. I will write that down for people in a second. Not that the spelling is that important. This is a small rural market town, population of about 2,000 people. It's to give a sort of size, a sense of the scope of the place. It's kind of got a very small police station, a fire station with a single engine. It has a library. It has a doctor's clinic. It also has, a few shops on the high street, butchers, bakers, greengrocers, that sort of thing. And a sort of moderately sized supermarket, but not like a big hypermarket type place. It has a single old Church of England church called St. Mary's. It's an old church, probably been there since about the 12th, 13th century in some form or another. And a small Methodist chapel as well. Neither of them get many visitors these days. There's a couple of pubs, Saracen's Head and the Cross Keys. There's a little tea rooms that's open for afternoon tea and sandwiches and the like. Fish and chip shop, a Chinese and an Indian takeaway, and that's about it. There's no train station. There's no links to big public transport, really. There are a few buses that go into the nearest big city, which is, in this case, Norwich, which is a real city. And it's about 25 miles away. It takes getting on for an hour to drive there across the country roads. Buses there are very infrequent, probably only a couple a week, and tend to leave at inconvenient times that are fine if you're happy to go there to do your shopping during the day, but not if you actually want to work there as a job. The school was Keythorpe High School, and I presume that all our characters will have gone to school there, and that's probably primarily where we know each other from. This takes in the high school serves the town itself and all the villages in about a sort of 5 mile radius of the town. It has about, so from, I won't get too in depth on the English school system because it's not that important for our purposes, but there's essentially the main school itself, which takes pupils from the ages of 11 to 16. So, yeah, 16 is basically when you can finish your formal education. You then there's also attached to sixth form college, which goes from 17 to 18 for sort of further education before people either leave for work or go into higher education. The main school had about 600 pupils, so just over 100 per year. The sixth form college has about 150 pupils in total. So frankly, you probably at least recognize, if not know by name, nearly everyone you went to school with. It's not a big school. The sort of the village primary schools people coming in probably have had sub 100 pupils in total. The villages around here are quite small, rural. Agriculture is the main industry in the area. And inside the villages, pretty much everyone knows everyone. And it's not much different in the town itself. So let's just give some inspiration for characters. As I say, we're not looking for, full-on accuracy here, more just verisimilitude, and we won't really be dealing much with the town itself anyway, but that's just to kind of give you maybe some inspiration, some guidance in what life here was like. As I said, it's been 4 years since we were all at high school together, and it's likely that many of us have maybe been at university during that time, been working, been traveling, but it's Christmas time, everyone's back to visit family or whatever else sort of still ties you to this town, and we will all be getting together to see each other once again. So the very first question that I'm going to ask as a general question here is what sort of how do you think we may have all known each other? I mean, obviously, as I said, it's likely we all went to the same school. If you feel like maybe you didn't, that's fine, but that seems like the most logical thing. But was there like a specific club or activity that brought us all together, or were we all in the D&D club? There may have been one. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? And obviously at this point, if you want to start to introduce ideas of who you see your character as being, that's cool as well, and we can sort of start to play off one another.
I brainstormed like a bunch of random things because I couldn't sleep. So
Fair.
it may be that they're all dumb, because I did them overnight in my second night of not sleeping in a row, but maybe one of them could be cool. So I thought that one could be that we were initially, like, we all hung out because we were the academic kids at school, and we ended up being co-valedictorians, and maybe there was some controversy there over who should have gotten the actual, like, you know, full-on valedictorian thing based on weighted GPAs and whatever else. I don't know if that's a thing in England, though. But I'm looking personally in this game for lots of interpersonal, like, backstory conflict. So I was trying to think of scenarios that would create that. Or like a Breakfast Club style setup where, like, we were thrown together for some reason that we wouldn't have, and, like, formed some bond, and maybe we, like, secretly kept meeting to play games because our respective social circles would have rejected each other, which also could have some fun conflict in it. And then I think my other ones are probably, like, too out there for people, so maybe I just shouldn't say them. So I just won't say them. So those were some ideas.
No, those are some nice ideas. Yeah, so I mean, the specifically the valedictorian thing isn't really a thing in England. Certainly not just in regular state schools. But I can definitely see, like, you do still have, like, kind of the extra classes essentially for kind of gifted students. One of the things, it wasn't something I don't think they did, like, at my school, but if anyone has seen the film History Boys, sometimes you'll have, so again, extraneous detail, but, like, you kind of obviously getting into Oxford or Cambridge University is a big thing in there. And it's actually something that some schools try and game the system isn't the right word, but try and get people into there, because if they get a number of students into there, it looks good on their, on their reports and stuff. So it could have been something like essentially cram classes or something preparing for entrance to Oxford and Cambridge is definitely something that does happen. That would, I think, fulfill a similar sort of role to that valedictorian idea. But yes, that's something like Breakfast Club style could also be cool, if depending on what sort of characters people are wanting to play. If they don't feel like they would playing a character would fit into that kind of academically gifted side of things, we can certainly look at something other than that. Yeah, just
I like that idea that we are prepping for university, and maybe, like, D&D is something we do after hours, when we are done studying, kind of a thing, or that's what we did in high school anyway.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Puckett, does that does it sound like an idea you'd be interested in?
I mean, the only thing that I had crossed through my head was perhaps it was part of a history class where a history teacher encouraged us to role play certain elements of, say, British history, and that kind of caught on, and then it went into the prep course or the cram sessions, and then it just kind of evolved and it turned into something like playing D&D. Or you said this is so we are playing characters in about 2004, but they would have met approximately 4 years earlier, so say 99, 2000.
That's right. Yeah, so we'd have graduated in the year 2000. So yeah, been at school been at high school since the early 90s. But yeah, this would likely have been in sixth form, so likely have been, yeah, basically 98 to 2000. So yes, D&D is definitely a possibility.
Vampire the Masquerade.
Yep.
Because let's be blunt, what's gonna hit about a group of high school students who may be feeling kind of isolated or alienated more than role playing vampires?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's definitely a possibility. We can also sort of discuss that in a moment, as well as what we actually played together. It may have been several different games. We can go into that. But I
think it'd be kind of, and I admit that I'm kind of cribbing a little bit from the comic here. It kind of feels like it'd be interesting if we, like, started on D&D and said, nah, everybody plays this. This is just kind of meh. What else is there? And maybe got into say, did the role-playing side of Warhammer exist at that point, or was it still just models-based?
Yeah. So I mean, this at this point, yeah, like D&D wise, would have been would have still been just the dying gasps of AD&D, I believe. I think this it was about then that third ed came out, wasn't it? Like, end of. I know I've played my first game when I went to university. Not that this game in any way has any autobiographical elements to it, but
None whatsoever.
I think the context makes sense that we would not necessarily just be D&D players by the time we end up here, right?
Yeah.
I do know the comic, like they reference that the other games do exist, and some of them are fans of them.
And then they kind of turned into RPG elitists and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of the path that the path makes sense, because otherwise, I mean, why are you playing this instead of D&D? I mean, if you weren't looking for something different or something more, or D&D wasn't just wasn't quite scratching the itch, why would you get here?
Yeah, that's cool. And Walter, are you okay with the direction we're going in? Is there anything you want to add at this point?
That all sounds good. I like it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So yeah, I think that just to kind of, in fact, I will be good here. I'm going to call an instant replay at this point, and just to clarify that what we're saying is that we were essentially, I mean, individual characters may have known each other since like we were kids or whatever, but in terms of us as a role-playing group, we got together probably in sixth form when we were doing kind of extra after school prep lessons, cramming and stuff, prepping for sort of university entrance, and we started off playing D&D, but you know, someone, and we'll probably drill into this in a moment, you know, maybe introduced some maybe I'm just gonna say, for sake of argument, vampire at the minute, but we can obviously whittle down on exactly what sort of thing we want to do. Yeah, but that's cool.
How much do you want to talk about character concepts? Right.
Yeah, so if people have ideas, we can. I suppose. That will be my sort of first question to each of you: is do you have an idea for a name yet? The old classic starting point. And do you have an idea of in a sort of your like one line introduction as to who that character is, which is a very
Yeah, so I have a tab here of Irish baby names. So I don't know the context for what year these were popular, but I'm gonna go with Auley, and I think I was a smart student like all of you, and I was in prep, but for whatever reason, I didn't go to university after high school or college or what have you. And I stuck around town. I'm kind of the inveterate local, and I did like manual labor. Like I worked in a factory or something, packing boxes or something like that.
Again, I actually did spend several months packing boxes in an industrial warehouse when I just after I left school. So yeah. That's that's definitely something I can see happening. Yes, perfect. That's great. So that's a nice start. Pearl, do you have a sort of initial seed for a character?
So I overthought all of this. Surprise. And had like a bunch of different ideas for the game that I didn't mention during the game time, so I should delete all of those. But I have like a huge thing about my character with lots of details. But one of the big things I wanted was for my character to have an aspect of her life that is not known to the other characters. And I don't know if that's possible.
Oh yes, definitely. So just to clarify, this section of the game that we're doing now, the questions that we ask, that's all at our level as players. It's to establish how the characters relate to each other. But yes, we now as players may well learn learn details that the characters don't actually know about themselves. Yeah.
Does everyone feel really confident that they can play that they don't know something major? Like, because like it won't work. It won't work if people know. It has to be something that like would come out later.
Yeah, I mean that's fine as well. We don't necessarily have to. Detail everything up front. But yeah, we'll obviously be working out how characters link together, how they interact, what we know about each other, that sort of thing.
Okay. Because like you should know as the GM, based on I've read a bunch of the like 165-page manual thing, so I'm aware of how these character traits influence how the game works. So like you should know, but other people should. So I'll at least say the things that are not that thing. And then we can figure out the rest. So she hasn't kept up with anyone. She didn't end up going to a prestigious school, even though she got good grades and all of that. And nobody really knows why. She had a short-lived marriage, like 6 months, somewhere in that span of time. But she's more embarrassed than anything else about it. Like it was just a flight of fancy. But she's not really like heartbroken. She just is kind of like, ugh. She's hoping people haven't heard. Has no kids. What she does have is a huge record collection and a pristine vintage record player. She, let's see, what else do I have that is useful for here? She dresses in a way that looks kind of plain, but is very flattering. And if you pay attention, you notice that the quality of the construction and the fabric and everything is outstanding. Like even though they don't look like designer clothing, they clearly are like tailored to fit her and are much nicer than what you would think for something that someone like her would wear. She is afraid of being around ferrets because she was bitten by a classroom pet as a child. When another kid freaked out while holding it and like thrust it / half threw it at her, and the predictable outcome was that she got bit. But like, so she still really loves ferrets conceptually, so she just doesn't want to touch them, but she thinks they're adorable. And it's like an inner conflict about ferrets that she has, that she takes very seriously. She's attractive, but not stunning. So like, just attractive enough to like get her hopes up about things, but be really insecure at the same time, because she's not a knockout. She watched a lot of documentaries and foreign films because she was in the film club, but on her own time, she never missed an episode of Friends. And her favorite episode is the one with the prom video, which produced the classic line, "She's his lobster." And she hates the whole "we were on a break" thing between Ross and Rachel.
Brilliant. Thank you. I like I like what we've got so far. Oh, sorry. And do we have a name? So I've not been keeping up on the character keeper, or is the name yet to come?
I hadn't given her a name yet, and that's all the information that is not secret. So just wait till the rest of it comes out. Yeah. Cool. But yeah, I should give her a name. I'll do that while everybody else does.
Perfect. No, that's fine. I wasn't sure if I hadn't looked at the character keeper, so I wasn't sure if you put it in there and just not spoken it. But that's fine. Names can follow. I need to settle on one for myself still. Cool. So Puckett, yeah. Do you have sort of an initial germ of an idea there?
I suppose maybe. He goes by Edward Haverford now, although his friends knew him as Eddy. He's a bit of a douche. He worked on a minor advertising campaign for an energy drink that actually kind of took off. So he acts like he is an advertising genius, although it was just purely dumb luck. And when he comes back, he's very pretentious, puts on airs, acts as though he's vastly more successful and vastly more wealthy than he is, throws money that he doesn't have around, and is generally just an insufferable shit.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm glad we've got at least one. Perfect. And
it's one of those things, people might call him Eddy, and it might be kind of a needling thing since he now prefers to be called Edward to reflect what he perceives as his increased status and improved class positioning.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool. And Walter, how about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with the name Andrew because we need more A names. And Andrew was always a bit more of like the jockish type back when we were in school. He was, played football as well as studied. He was never like the star football player, right? I mean, he never had illusions that he was gonna like go pro or anything. He wasn't even the best at the school, but he enjoyed it, right? It was something that he managed to make some time for. So he was probably the one person who like had to miss the most role-playing game sessions because he had like football matches with other teams and stuff every once in a while that he had to excuse himself for. So that might have been annoying at the time. And he went to I think he ended up doing like a year of college, and then he found a job with a business, just doing some entry-level office work, and he knew he wanted to go into business and decided that this was a good opportunity. So he's been kind of working a job in I think in London for the last couple of years. So did a little college, but didn't finish his degree.
Excellent. And finally, it comes around to me, which is an odd feeling, which means that I have to decide on a name. So I think I will be I think I'm going to go with Joe is his name. He was kind of quite academic, but for, sort of one of the a fairly shy kid, really fairly quiet. He enjoyed the chance to sort of play role-playing games with people, sort of came out of his shell a bit, and that was sort of one of his big things. He didn't successfully get into Cambridge or Oxford either, but he has been at the University of we'll say the University of Warwick, over near Coventry in the West Midlands, where he has been studying. He's completed his degree in. I'm going to say. I'll flash back to something what we said earlier. He did a history degree at the in Warwick. He is I think he's probably just come back to town on his Christmas break, and that's and has kind of gathered everyone together again. So good. We all know, we all have, at least we have names for each other now, and some vague ideas of what sort of people we are. So what we're going to do now is, like I said, I'm going to start asking a few questions to just get a bit more detail on each of you. So, and like I said at this point as well, do feel free to sort of ask questions amongst each other as well. This you know, I'm not in charge at this point. This is up for everyone to sort of chip in and bounce off each other. So if I'm just filling in names on the character note sheet, so I know who I'm talking about. Yes. So I think, well, I'm going to start with an obvious question, I guess, for Auley, which is why did you just decide to stay in town and just, you know, do a manual job to make ends meet? What kept you here? Why didn't you leave?
I think that it was a kind of classic story of having a family member who needed me around. I think that I had a single mother the entire time we were growing up, and everyone knew that. But even though she was all ready to support me and moving away, I think that something happened that made life really tough for us. And I decided to stick around and earn some money to help keep the family house, essentially. And it was supposed to be temporary, but I just never gathered the motivation to go to school and do something more. And I think I actually like living in the community. I don't think I'm depressed about it or anything, but I think I'm maybe embarrassed reuniting with these friends who all expected me to do something, you know, better, quote unquote.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a nice spin on it. Well, I say a nice spin on it, a nice, you know, thing to have there. Cool. So, yeah. Well, next, then I will go to. So I'm just flicking between screens at the minute while I get everyone's names down. So, Eddy.
It's Edward, please.
Perfect. So, you obviously said you sort of got picked up by an advertising company. Was this kind of?
They recognized my genius.
Excellent.
I developed a campaign for Rocker energy drink. You might have heard of it. I mean, it's kind of a big deal now because I came up with just this genius advertising concept for it, where we actually illustrated a guitar and we put it on the side of the can, and they hadn't thought of that.
Nice.
And then we tied it into the estate of Phil Lynott. So we you know, then we could use The Boys Are Back in Town for the Rocker energy drink. And everybody rises to where they're supposed to be. I would like to point out, it's as though somebody tied a balloon to me. I'm still rising.
Nice. So,
but you said you had a question?
Yes. So, yeah. Were you? Did you finish university before you sort of went into the advertising company, or did you just get offered a job sort of out of high school and go straight into it?
Offered a job, I earned it, and I took it. But it was only after I had already proven myself, and I think I didn't even really go to class that much because why would I need to? But I think I made it through like my first year or something. That was a long time ago, and who can remember such things? I mean, I worked on it when I was in college, but I mean, when I was at university, the professors didn't really recognize my brilliance. They weren't giving me the grades that I deserved. And why wouldn't I just like start working with this tiny little company? I mean, they needed somebody with my skills. They needed somebody with my obvious talents. And they recognized that. And although I did the work for them for free, I made sure to get a percentage of the sales because, well, why wouldn't I? I mean, it's like if you're not going to pay me up front, then you have to pay me on the back end, right? So, and after that took off, I mean, why would I stay at university?
Cool.
Out of character, I do have one question. So, what would be the big city in this area?
So the big the only city in East Anglia is Norwich, which is it's not a big city in the grand scheme of things. Realistically, probably London is it's about an hour and a half by train down to London when you can get to a train station from here. So London is kind of the big. It's honestly it's where half the jobs in the country are. So that's certainly something like advertising. It's the most likely place that you'd get work.
And you see, the thing, I have a sneaking suspicion that he's acting like he went to the big city, but he really just went to Norwich.
Cool.
And he's treating it like it is London. Even though he hasn't been to London, and frankly, this asshole would get eaten alive at even the lowest tier ad agency in, well, probably even Norwich. And there's probably not that many ad agencies there.
Cool.
But you had more questions? Because, of course, why wouldn't you?
So just making a note of that. Brilliant. Okay, cool. So yeah, so yeah, Andrew, it sounds like Andrew had a similar sort of experience to sorry, I'm still learning names, to Eddy, in the sense that he again got into a job whilst he was still whilst he was still studying
university.
Yeah,
I think for him though it was a very different situation. Like there was no superstardom. I think it was just that he Andrew was, he did well at school, and but he wasn't really excited by it, and he decided he just wanted to get some money, and he decided, okay, I've got enough education, I'm just going to get a job in an office, and he is, he's making quite a bit of money compared to for how young he is. He's not like a superstar, not an amazing office job, but he's got a solid entry-level job in London.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, was he do you think he was maybe like working as a temp like over the summer or something when he first started working with them, and that kind of turned into a more
that sounds about right.
Yeah,
I think that's what
cool.
happened. Yeah.
What sort of firm is it that he's working for? Is it like a law company or just a sort of general banking, something like that?
You know what? It's a telemarketing company.
Right.
And he does a lot of like I don't know, kind of like support work for it, right? Like he's not one of the like main salespeople, but he does, like a lot of like kind of customer like customer management and project manage. Like he's kind of like he's like an account. He does account managing basically.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Thing.
He like keeps track of accounts and that sort of thing.
Yeah, one of those proper nebulous office jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Cool. Okay. So we so yeah.
David, could you check Slack for a second?
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, so we will sorry, lost my train of thought there. So I guess Pearl with Audrey or Lil, how she prefers to be referred. Does what was it? What was it about going to university that made her kind of lose interest in it?
I don't think we know if she ever went. Like, I think after graduation, she's like lost touch with everyone.
Okay, sure thing. Yeah, no, that's sorry. I couldn't remember exactly what we'd.
Like, I think the only reason she's even here at this gathering is that like she came home for the holidays and someone spotted her and no one had seen her in years, and they were like, "What the hell? Where have you been?" Like, hey, we're like getting the old group together. You should come and tell us what. And so she's agreed to come, but I think nobody knows what she's been up to, and she's playing it close to the vest for now. But I can, like I said, I can elaborate more, but I'm being mysterious for reasons.
Sure thing. Cool. So I suppose in which case I will ask what drew Audrey into role playing with the group back in the day. What about it kind of
Were you going to finish that question?
Oh, no, sorry, no.
Okay.
That was that.
I think she was one of the people like vying for the top grades to go to the top schools. Like, I think she was expected like to do what everyone else was expected to do, and it looks like pretty much none of us actually did it. But like that was the goal, right? Was that we were all in these top classes and studying together. So I think this was her friends group, and whatever caused her to depart from that path happened after she graduated. And I think in addition to her she's like scholastically inclined. So I think she read a couple of genres of books growing up. I'm going to mention what one of them was, but not all of them. One of them was that she was really into medieval English literature. She can recite Chaucer from memory. She was a big English nerd. So she really likes the academic stuff.
Cool.
And she also really generally enjoyed having a social group, and also she had a crush on one of the members of the group, to be determined.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. We'll get into that sort of thing. I think in shortly. I think
You might.
Cool. Yeah. That's cool. I suppose actually that's I have to kind of ask. As you've mentioned there, certainly the medieval English literature. Did she have any opinions on Tolkien?
Oh, she loves Tolkien. I mean, he's not medieval English literature, but
No.
she also loves Tolkien.
Yeah.
Although she never got as much into The Hobbit. Lord of the Rings was kind of her thing. She read some of the Silmarillion, but she loves the fellowship aspect of the Lord of the Rings, and that like each member had their own unique thing to bring and their own role to like bring about the thing. So that's her big thing with Lord of the Rings. And she also likes that Tolkien was an Old English professor at Oxford and scholar, and
yeah, exactly.
How many cool words in Lord of the Rings are from Old English, but also like Hebrew and a bunch of other languages, which is neat. Tolkien's badass.
Cool. That's brilliant. So yeah, I'm just going to have a quick look at. I started writing down some of the sample questions that he gives in the book in that tab there, though I didn't get through many of them because I only thought to do it just before I started the call earlier. So apologies for that. But I'm just going to kind of have a quick look through some of them, and so I think we have kind of a bit of an idea of who we are now, and so it's time to kind of drill down into sort of how we knew each other when we were at school. No, I mean not how, but like the way in which we knew each other when we were at school, how we got along, if we got along, that sort of thing. We obviously all knew enough to we all knew each other. We all at least got along well enough to play a game together. But I'm going to ask. So who did Eddy? Who did Eddy like best out of the group of us?
Like is an awfully strong word, isn't it? I mean, tolerated is probably closer to it. And I mean, I think out of everyone, although I'm sure he wouldn't have admitted it because, well, why would one admit actually liking anyone? I mean, that gives them an edge to use on you, doesn't it? Though, but I think of everyone, if he were deep in his cups and somebody had a gun to his head, he would admitted that he fancied Lil. But I think that's probably true for everybody.
Yeah, that seems.
I mean, it's high school. You're playing an RPG.
I think you could assume that.
Yeah.
Barring knowing about anyone's particular sexualities.
Cool. Brilliant. Thank you. And I suppose I will turn that question around. Lil, what did Lil think of Eddy when they were in school together, regardless of whether she made those feelings known or not?
I'm muted. What Lil is willing to reveal is that she liked everyone in the group quite well, and there was one person she liked better. But she was never willing to admit it back then, and she never got any signs that it was returned. Whether it's because it wasn't returned or whether it was because that person wasn't brave enough, we don't know. But otherwise, she didn't really have beyond that person a favorite, but she liked the way that she liked the Fellowship in the Lord of the Rings. She kind of liked their group as a group, and valued each member.
Yeah, everyone brought their own thing to it.
Yeah,
cool.
She was into that side of their nerd band.
Awesome. That's cool. Thank you. So I will ask Andrew, who did no, I think I'll go for the other side this time. Who irritated you the most out of the group, or got under your skin, or you just took against for reasons?
I think definitely Eddy. Eddy, I don't know. I can never quite put it into words, but Eddy just seemed kind of snotty. I never understood why. I mean, Eddy's a fine guy, but he's the kind of guy who every once in a while, like, he would say something or kind of have a look on his face, and it was just like, why are you so sour? Like, chill, dude.
Cool. That's nice. So I guess we'll bring that back to Eddy again. So obviously, and I hope I get this right. So I may before I started taking notes, my memory might be a little hazy, but if I remember correctly, Andrew used to sort of be on the school football team. Did I get the right person for that? Yeah, cool. So did Eddy, was Eddy jealous of Andrew's sort of athletic tendencies? Was that something that he wanted to do but couldn't, or was he just not interested at all?
I'm sorry, are you directing a question at Edward?
I may well be.
Some people may like sport, and, well, good on them. To me, sport is only useful when I can negotiate some kind of endorsement deal where we can have an athlete pitching the product, because there are people who pay attention to them and they can be useful. They're tools, like a hammer. But if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So one must simply have more tools in one's toolbox and at one's disposal than mere athletes.
Excellent. That's cool. But yeah, so just to sort of bring it, did he actually feel any jealousy there, or was it just did he just purely not have any interest? Just to clarify for.
Why would I be jealous of air when I'm a balloon? I'm rising through it.
Cool. Cool. So, oh, sorry, just muted myself. I did it the wrong way around. So, Auley, who did you feel the closest to in the group? Who do you think you got on with best?
I think I got on best with Andrew. I think that if it's cool, that we probably hung out the most outside of the club. Yeah, like friends who would visit each other at home, and maybe even as kids do sleepovers, that kind of a thing. And I think that if I've continued with anyone since school, probably, well, Andrew's the one I might have called up on the phone occasionally or something like that to talk.
I was going to suggest that too. I'm on board with all that.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Perfect. Yeah. So you think you probably known each other for quite a while. You know, this you didn't just sort of become friends as part of this role playing group.
No, but I will say, you know, even that being the case, I do think I can't answer for everyone, but I did become close with the group generally. You know, during this period, of course. And I've always wondered about, you know, the other two and anyone else who was involved in the group, but Andrew's the one I've like kept in contact with. Yeah. Otherwise, I've been kind of, you know, isolated here from everyone else. Yeah.
Sure thing. That's cool. Cool. That's great. Okay, I'm going to use the privilege I don't have here, but I'm going to frame one of my questions the other way around. Who in the group? No, actually, I'll ask that question first. In our group, who actually used to GM the game we played? Or did we have different GMs for different?
I would think it would rotate.
There's an interesting thing here where David, you have a character too, right?
I do. Yes, I do indeed.
So we haven't heard much about your character.
No.
Is that intentional?
No. You feel free to ask me questions as well, and I will volunteer some more stuff as needed anyway. But yeah, feel free to ask me questions as well. Now, the other question I was thinking of asking was essentially one framed around my character anyway. But then I thought, actually, no. What I'm interested in knowing first is but yeah, no interest. So I think I forget who exactly who it was that said it, but yeah, I quite like the idea that maybe we had different GMs, maybe for different games. We had a different GM running it. So okay, so I will ask that. In which case, so if we go with kind of what we established earlier, that we maybe started off playing D&D. As I said, this probably at the time when we first started playing this will almost certainly have been good old AD&D second ed. Who do you think ran that?
I'm sorry to ask because I know this was a while ago. Can I get a quick rerundown of the games, because like I didn't play any of them, and so you all went through them and I just didn't.
No, that's fine. We won't need to go into too much detail on that anyway. But yeah, it's so I think the ones we specifically mentioned were D&D, and like Vampire the Masquerade, and other White Wolf games. I think those are the only ones we specifically mentioned by name.
I thought I remembered talk about like growing out of that into other things, or did I just imagine that?
You did not imagine that. I mentioned that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I loved that idea, that maybe we like started to hone in on some things that were more central to our interests.
Yeah.
Since we're going to end up in one of these worlds, is my impression.
Yeah. So yeah.
I liked Pearl's idea earlier of maybe we rotated a little bit based on our interests, and I could see several of us GMing a different, like, here's the game that we should really be playing, that kind of a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, exactly.
I think Eddy pushed to play something else, and even though I've never played it, I think that he probably pushed to play something like Vampire the Masquerade as something more adult, something darker, something edgier, something that has a little bit more style to it.
Yeah, I'm
his intentions more.
I'm liking that idea. That sounds definitely like Eddy.
And I think I'm imagining Eddy kind of won over the group with that, but that maybe Eddy and the rest of the group had to pull Andrew into it a little bit, because Andrew really liked, his favorite part of it to begin with was like the miniatures combat with 2nd edition D&D, and he loved min-maxing his characters, and that was his thing. And it was like he needed a bit more encouragement to get into the role-playing part of it, and he eventually did, right? And he eventually was like, okay, this vampire is cool, but he never GM'd that. He kind of never quite got it the way everybody else did.
So here's a question for Andrew. Does that mean that at some point you might have pushed us to get into, say, small squad Warhammer 40K miniatures?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I had kind of thought, just so I might have something that I know something about, that maybe we started to look into some of the really early indie RPGs, which I didn't think there were any until I got the PDFs for 1 million of them that don't seem to exist in print anywhere, but they were there. And so I was looking at ones that were based on The Princess Bride or The Wizard of Oz, and that maybe occasionally you guys would indulge me and let me run one that was based on a book, a more, something like one of those books.
Did you ever run Blue Rose, the romance fantasy?
I, as you know, have run nothing.
I mean, in character, I'm suggesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but it's something I could imagine I would have run.
Do you think
if you ask me questions about it, I won't know what they are.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, we don't need that sort of level of detail on. No, that's cool.
Do you think Lil would have run Bunnies and Burrows?
Maybe. It's
kind
a game about bunnies, I imagine.
Because I think that's something that maybe that's why Edward really kind of went, because it was something so far out there and so far outside of experience. And he
Pendragon, if she's really into Chaucer and
yes.
stuff.
I was just thinking that, yeah. It's the Pendragon is basically big game based on the Arthurian legends, but and also I think one of the things that's quite it's sort of one of the core elements in it is it's all based around having stats that are essentially two halves of a virtue and a vice that whoop between each other and stuff. My knowledge of it's fairly sketchy. That's about what I know, but that might have been something that I could see.
Yeah, I don't know the game, but just to warn you all, I have a fairly surprising amount of knowledge on Arthurian canon and lore due to a graduate level seminar on that very topic that I took in college, which was incredibly in depth. Heading all the way back to the Mabinogion and Celtic literature. Yeah. So be prepared. If we go there, I will nerd it out.
Nice.
But yeah, the only reason I had suggested the ones based on booked or movies is I'm trying to imagine the world we end up in and just knowing the things that are in. I'm worried we're going to end up in a game and everyone's going to know what the things that we're facing are, and I'm not going to know what any of them are, and I'm going to slow everybody down by having to ask questions a ton.
That's fine. No, we won't. It will be fairly. The actual game within the game will be fairly.
Okay, I just didn't want you all to be like, oh right, these monsters that we've all faced in games, and I'm like, are they scary or not that bad? And you're like, what? Do they eat people? So if it'll be clear in the game, then it doesn't matter anywhere near as much. I'm aware that you all have knowledge I don't have, and I don't want to hold everybody back.
No,
so.
no, that's fine. Don't worry about that. It's
It's based on the Mordred Tour. I love that book.
Yeah.
My favorite word that's no longer used comes from it. Disparpled means scattered. When all the knights went after the Holy Grail, they disparpled.
Nice.
Just like us after high school.
Cool. So, Auley, I'm wondering, as Andrew was like into D&D, do you think maybe you were our original D&D GM?
Yeah, muted.
Wait, me?
Oh,
I thought you said Andy.
oh no,
Like
sorry,
Andrew?
sorry. I said Auley. Sorry, that was me. Do you think?
Oh, I thought you said Andy as well.
Sorry, no. Sorry, that was a. I can see this coming up.
Yeah, actually, I do think maybe I started the club.
Yeah,
And
maybe you had. Maybe it was the classic thing of you had an older brother who, or a sister who.
Yeah, I like that idea that maybe it was initially my idea before we branched out into other stuff.
Yeah.
And, I brought all this, all the box, the red box that I inherited from an older brother, probably, and had us all play, probably under the very thin pretense that it had something to do with something we were learning in our actual class. Like we talked about history and stuff like that. Probably I whipped up a little adventure about something in our history class that, for whatever reason, included kobolds.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Sorry, I put.
I think probably the big thing for me in character, though, was just, for me, it was very exciting to do something that wasn't just studying with my friends. And I can imagine, even if I was a gifted student like everyone else, I probably lit up during these games, and that's really what connected me to all of you. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'm just going to call a quick 5-minute break now because I think my partner's got home and I need to get a drink. So I'll call a quick 5 minutes there. Then we'll come back and carry on with this. I wasn't sure quite how much steam we'd have for this whole character thing, but I think we've still got some stuff to go. So that's cool if everyone's still enjoying it. Call it 5 and see you then. Oh, sorry, Walter, I'd missed your. You're saying you were off camera. Yeah, cool. I will. Yes, welcome back. So I think that's cool. I think we know. I think we kind of have an idea of some of the games we probably played, and who introduced us to them. So I'm just making a quick note here. Oops, that's in the wrong thing. Sorry. So I think who else did I want to ask, and what did I want to ask them? So sorry, just I had a complete mental blank there. So Auley, I'll ask back to you again. So what do you think was the favorite game of Ollie's that we played together? Was it D&D when he was running it, or was it something else?
I think Auley was pleasantly probably D&D was all he knew at first, and then was pleasantly surprised every time someone chose to bring something else to the table. I know for him it would probably meant that, like, oh, they bought in, they found something that they like enough to want to run and stuff like that. And for him, it almost didn't matter in the end what games and we all played, just so that we were playing them together.
Cool. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
I am curious more about your character, David.
Yeah,
tying you in.
Yeah, feel free. Ask away. As I said, everyone is welcome to ask questions either of me or of the other players as well. So if you,
I'll ask you a question here. This might seem like an obtuse one to get to your personality, but what classes did you play?
Sure. So I think that in that very first D&D game that we played, I think that that he played a ranger. I think it was his first first character. I think he tended to gravitate towards sort of supporty type characters, in sort of more of your like classic D&D-esque stuff. I think. Oh, what did in when and again, apologies particularly to Pearl for going into some game terms here, but I think maybe in Vampire, I think he played a Tremere, and had lots of fun doing spooky magic. Cool. Nice. Yes. So, so I'm just making a quick notes while I do this. So, Eddy, Edward, Mr. Haverford, what do you regret most from our time at school? Oh, sorry, I just remembered that. Sorry. That's right. Sorry, it was Walter. It was you who said you were. Oh no, it was Puckett. So he said that he's away from it. Yeah, sorry. I will ask another question and wait for Puckett to get back before asking him that. So I just got lost in the. Oh, cool. So yeah, sorry, Puckett. I missed your note and just asked you a question whilst you weren't here. So what is Edward's biggest regret from when he was back in school?
I think his biggest regret is, I don't think he ever actually asked Lil out. I think he kind of hinted at it a couple of times, but never did it that directly, and she never picked up on the hints. Or at least he thinks she didn't pick up on them, whether she actually did or not. But I think that's his regret. I mean, I think he liked that she was kind of the keeper of the indie stuff and was even like farther out there than he was, because he kind of fancied himself to be like on the cool fringe of things with just by knowing about Vampire the Masquerade. And she brought stuff that was even more esoteric and indie and less well known and cool. And so he's like, oh crap, she actually, maybe she can like tell that I'm a fake and that I'm kind of like a fraud, but I'm not half as cool as I think I am, type thing. But he respected that, and he actually kind of liked it.
Cool. That's nice.
I have another question for Joe, which is just what did Joe do after school?
Sure. So yeah, I think that Joe he like to go sort of go on walks out in the fields. I think he lived in one of the villages a bit further out of the town itself, a bit more rural. But he's and I think he enjoyed drawing. I think he was quite a decent artist. I think he sort of drew pictures for all of his characters. I think he also, as well as like obviously playing like the role-playing games, I think he did also. He always used to participate in the like school plays. Never sort of as a a leading man sort of thing, but used to sort of be in the played small roles, sang in the chorus, that sort of thing. Probably did a bit of like backstage stuff as well.
You asked all of us, David. You asked all of us, like, sort of who we like our characters got together, liked or didn't like the most in the group, felt the closest to. I'm curious about Joe. Who did Joe feel was he was closest to?
That's a good question. I think that he admired Auley, but I think he was kind of a bit. I'm not sure what's quite the right word. Whether it was intimidated by or jealous of, like, the friendship that Auley and Andrew had, so was possibly not as close to him. But I think, admired him, liked him, and I think maybe in terms of who he spent time with, I think maybe it was Lil. I think he was probably quite intimidated by Edward. Cool. So, I'll ask a question back. Andrew, is it so? Obviously, Andrew is at the minute is enjoying the job he's doing. He's seems to be, or at least certainly seems to be enjoying it from what we've heard so far. What does he want to? What are his, like, long-term plans? What does he want to do beyond what he's doing right now?
Yeah, I think he sees himself as, like, eventually going back to school and maybe getting a business degree. But for right now, he's just enjoying having money. He's enjoying being young and in London. And that's, so he's not, like, actively pursuing, his these goals at the moment, but I think that's where he just kind of assumes that that's where he'll get eventually.
Cool. And I suppose to sort of drill down into that, what is, I mean, aside from the money, what is it about his job that he likes? Is it the yeah, I suppose that's the question. What is it about his job that he likes? Why is it something he sort of sees himself doing, or something like it is something he sees himself doing long term?
Mostly he's just a pretty easygoing fellow, and he has a couple friends at work. There's a couple of his mates in London are also there at the office, and they'll go out to the pub and they'll watch the football game after, on weekends together, and talk about football on breaks at work. And it's nothing special. He's not, like, passionate about his work, but it's a reasonable place to spend his day, and he likes that he's got a solid job.
Okay, and I'm actually going to ask Auley a similar question. Again, we've established that Auley actually quite likes being part of the community that he is in. What is it? Is there anything in particular about, like, where he's living now that he's happy with? We'll start off with that.
I think part of it is that he has been able to help his mother, and she hasn't been in much trouble as she was when I was in high school since that time. But another part of it is, I think Auley has this perception that if he had gone and done other things, he wouldn't have half as much time to kind of just be in his own head, which I think is what he really enjoys. And the manual labor that he does doesn't take him away from his situation, his life, his inner life, and I think he spends quite a lot of time in the community trying to kind of recreate that experience he had. He probably goes back to the high school to help mentor, the D&D club there, the students occasionally, and he does a lot of his own kind of imagination work, like amateur writing and
Cool.
stuff like that, and is happy not to have some intense job or family or what have you to distract him from that.
Cool. Yeah, that's nice. Does he obviously sorry, tripping over my words. Does he have sort of close friends in the community, or around, or is it more that he just kind of doesn't have anything quite the same as the friends he used to have?
That's a difficult one. I think that he is well liked in the way that anyone who's a part of a small community, they get to know everyone pretty quickly, and he's not shy, he's not antisocial or what have you. So I think he is well liked. I think that a lot of those relationships feel a lot more superficial to him. But he does have other friends. There are people from the high school who did stay, who's probably gotten a little closer with than any of the rest of us used to be to them when we were actually in school. And he, the kids that he mentors, probably he's gotten kind of close to them. Yeah,
Cool.
I think that there's a level of guardedness to him. I think there's going to be sides that this group, the player group, knows better than anyone else, and then there will be some things that surprise them about him that he hasn't shared with everyone.
Yeah, sure thing. Cool. And I suppose I'll also open that out to, does I mean, said mostly sort of more superficial friendships, shall we say. Does he have any sort of romantic relationships in his life at the minute?
That's for me.
Yeah.
Yes, he does. He is dating. I think that he's dating a teacher, and I think it would surprise the group when they find out that it's a man.
Cool. And is well, without getting into any uncomfortable territory, but is this a teacher that actually taught us when we were at school, or is it a teacher from?
I think it's a new one. I think they're of an age. It's not.
Yeah.
Not,
No.
older. Yeah, I think this is someone who came in soon after, like, people left. So he maybe is a few years older than me, but not by much.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
But he does teach at the high school that we went to. So there's a little connection.
I'll leave space for his name, but you can fill that in if you want. I won't put you on the spot right now, because those are always the hardest part. Cool.
I have a question for people.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's unfair because I didn't really answer this directly myself, but for my own reasons, I'm interested in hearing what people's relationships with Audrey were in terms of like you don't have to tell me like whether they had a crush on her or not, because I don't think she had a relationship with any of them. But just like, did any of you feel like close enough that you would confide in her and be close to her? Were any of you sort of at a distance because you didn't like girls? Like, I mean, who knows? You know what I mean? But like, do any of you have ideas of how, if you're other than we already know about Edward, if anybody else has a specific idea of how they related to Audrey?
I was wondering, and obviously feel free to veto this if it's not something you're happy with. But I'm wondering if like Audrey and Joe had one of those like, you know, proper like teenage things where they sort of dated for a bit, but it really didn't like go anywhere. It was that one of those sort of proper like, I guess maybe we're boyfriend and girlfriend. What does that mean? And it just, but yeah, just like there wasn't really any spark there. It never sort of, it wasn't like a, you know,
yeah, like we tried it out maybe when we were young teens. Like,
possibly before we actually started, you know, before we kind of like started playing games together.
Yeah, like
playing in the group together. But yeah,
like you're friends with someone and you're not really sure, like whether liking them that much means you're supposed to date them or you just like them a lot. I felt like I had that phase for a couple of years where I was like, I really like this friend. Does that mean I should date them?
Yeah.
It like took me a while. Even like for a while, I was like, am I bisexual? I really like my female friends, but I don't want to make out with them. But like, I like to hug them a lot. It like legit took me some figuring out that like the difference between someone I wanted to date and someone I wanted to be best friends with is like, which ones did I want to make out with in addition to spending all my time with them otherwise, basically. So
yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
I imagine that we like tried making out a couple times in this phase and it just like neither of us really knew if it was supposed to be better than that, but it didn't seem like it was doing what everyone else seemed to think it was. Maybe.
Yeah, that sounds good.
But after that, I would think we would like we remained friends. I don't think it would have damaged our friendship, at least from
exactly. I don't see it not ending like in a big blow up, just in that sort of like, is there really any point in us carrying on this? You know.
And then later we end up in this group, and it's kind of like a funny memory that the two of us have that maybe the others don't know about. Even like that's a cute little backstory. I like it.
Yep.
So I think when Andrew and Lil started playing together, Andrew made some like awkward, kind of creepy comments about like, oh, cool, yeah, this is great. You're in the group. You can like totally play like a sexy elven thief now. And I think somebody in the group like shut that down. Was like, no. Who was that?
Ooh, I want to know too. Who was that? Good job.
I mean, it sounds like the sort of thing Auley would have said.
I must admit, I was thinking similar.
It does sound like the thing. I just have so much on my document.
I mean, I'll tell you this, but it's not something Edward would have said, because I think Edward was kind of secretly thinking that's not a bad idea.
You can put it on Andrew's character sheet, though, right? That he was the one who said it and got shut. That way, it's not in your column necessarily if you feel like you have too much.
I was kind of. It's okay if it's. Yeah, it definitely doesn't.
Yeah, I can put it in there.
Could theoretically go on both. Where Andrew
I actually just noticed that there's the character notes. I was on the wrong tab in the character keeper. I didn't know anybody was writing any notes. So I just discovered all the notes.
I almost called you out in my by name when I was like, people with only a few things on the sheet fill it out. But I was like, well, some other people have less. I won't be rude. But yeah.
But to answer, I do think Auley would shut that down. Probably because they behind the scenes they really hate the stereotypes about why can't it only be the girl characters who are sexy? That kind of a thing. So that was at least a part of it, not completely because he's mature or what have you. Yeah.
Cool. Yes, and obviously as well, feel free to sort of add in your own notes. I'm trying to keep a up to date-ish on taking down notes when people say stuff. But if I miss anything for your character that you think is important, or for someone else's character you've asked, whatever that isn't on there, feel free to add it. I do need to add some of the stuff back in on mine because I've been neglectful.
Walter, you're muted.
Sorry, thanks. I was just going to say, now that I finally just discovered this tab, I'll fill out more of the stuff on Andrew. I guess it says character notes. I guess this could be like persona notes, and then the other one is characters, right?
Well, yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I was going to ask Auley. So, do you think Andrew knows that you're in a gay relationship with this other teacher, or is that something that you think is always been somehow I mean, I don't know that. I mean, I'm imagining Auley must have tested the waters at some level if we've known each other for a long time, right? I'm guessing Andrew. I think Andrew's would be okay with that. I think if Auley pushed in that direction, I think Andrew would be okay with that. Do you think that's something that Andrew knows, or do you think that's something that Auley just keeps very close and doesn't tell many people about?
I think he doesn't tell a lot of people because he's kind of almost more because he's kind of private rather than because it's some conservative community or what have you. I think he alludes to having a partner and talks about them in really vague terms, and I think Andrew could have gathered or have suspicions growing up since you knew me, that something was weird romantically, off a little bit romantically about me. Joe, if I can request this from you, David. I want to say that I invited you to the D&D group partially because I had a crush on you.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
I'm wondering then, Auley, is there, if it's the kind of thing that Andrew has, could probably guess, but that we haven't really talked about out loud, is there something that is something about Auley's situation that would make it particularly awkward? Maybe Auley's mother wouldn't be accepting of it or something?
I think that's kind of it. I think that it's not so much that my mother is conservative, Christian or something like that, as much as they're a single mother with 2 male children, and I don't think there's been no signs that I want kids or anything like that, and that's probably kind of sad. Sad considering I stayed here in this small town. And that's kind of what would be expected of me, is to find a romantic partner and have kids, that kind of a thing. So It's more Auley's putting it on himself, I think. He doesn't want to disappoint his mom. That's kind of the excuse he would give to anyone who asked about why are you afraid to come out, kind of a thing.
Cool.
Yeah. That's, Go ahead. No, go ahead.
It's I don't know if it's relevant or not, but I had originally, when you mentioned that people were going to be surprised that you were dating a teacher who was male, but in the thing that Lil would be totally cool with that and happy. And then realized that Lil wouldn't know because she's been gone and out of touch with everybody. And I'm wondering if you think there's any chance that you would have come out to her in high school, because I think she is genuinely like empathic or empathetic and non-judgmental and would be supportive if you wanted to do that.
I like that idea. Do you think that Lil confronted me about it and was like,
I don't think confront in like a mean way, but just sort of like asked you if you'd like come hang after school one day and talk about something, and then was like, look, like we've known each other for years and I really care about you, and like I see the way you look at. Did you say you invited Andrew because you had a crush?
Joe.
You know, I've seen the way you look at Joe, and just, you know, when we're out together, I notice that our eyes stray to the same people, and like I just want you to know if you have anything you ever want to talk about, that you feel like, you know, maybe some people wouldn't understand, that like I love you for who you are, you're my friend, and can talk to me about anything. I feel like that's her hinting, you know, without wanting to.
I love that idea, especially considering like maybe you and Joe were dating when I invited you both and I didn't know. So whenever Joe brought you, like there was some obvious like disappointment on my face. That maybe eventually got
cute.
Cleared up.
I think we had stopped dating before this started by like quite a bit, because we were thinking like very early adolescence. But that is a cute idea. So I think we could work it in instead as just like, maybe I could even be like, you know, I kind of tried dating Joe. Like if you do end up being like, yeah, actually you're right. Like I kind of think Joe's cute. I'd be like, yeah, I tried dating him when I was younger and it really didn't work for me. I don't know if that's because he's gay or if we just weren't compatible, to be honest. Like that was a weird experience. But you know, I can tell you some of his interests and likes if you wanted, like, you know what I mean? Like, willing to try to play wing woman if there's a possibility there. I just don't know. Maybe at the point where that happens, I think that would be kind of funny. Does that work?
That works great.
It's like not as funny as you being jealous of him bringing me, but I think, yeah, it has to be a really early adolescent thing to be as awkward as we're making it. No,
I love that. I have a question for, if that's good. I have a question for Joe and Eddy. I'm getting the impression like David, Joe seems like an artsy type. Eddy / Edward does not so much. How did you two get along in the group?
Well, it's Edward, and personally, I happen to like art just fine. I just think that it should be in service of business or a marketing goal. I mean, it should serve a purpose. It should have function. I mean, art for art's sake, I guess that's fine as a hobby, but art, I mean, real art, true art, well, of course that should be in service to commerce. I mean, why wouldn't it be? I mean, look at Damien Hirst. Look at Jeff Koons. For God's sakes, what's the Hockney, the guy who does the pastels? I mean, they're brilliant artists. They're also filthy rich, and they really understand what makes art art.
Cool. Sorry, I just finished up typing. Yes, so I think Auley. Sorry, I think that Joe's. I think he was quite intimidated by Edward because he's, you know, quite a strong personality, and Joe is not, and I think Joe was always a bit wary of Edward, and it was probably quite obvious. But I think he really got into the vampire game that that Eddy ran.
So there's that kernel of connection between the two of you that otherwise is a difficult, personality clash to rectify. Yeah.
I have sort of a couple of group questions that I think other people could ask questions in the same vein about their characters, maybe. I'm interested in finding out if any of the things, like in my long list of random character traits, if anybody shared some of those interests or like disdained them or anything else, if there were any things like was anybody else a, medieval English nerd or a Tolkien nerd, or did anyone think that Friends was like the epitome of, whatever would have been called basic back then or something, you know what I mean? And like did I have to hide that I watched Friends because everybody thought it was really stupid? Or was anybody else in the film club? Like just any of, like I listed a bunch of details just to see what would be interesting to people. And I'm wondering if any of them are in fact interesting to anyone, and anyone wants to build connections based on those or no. And if not, it's fine. I just wanted to throw it out there as a possibility.
No, that's cool. So yeah, I think this kind of loops back into what we've sort of already said. But yeah, I think Joe was probably in the film club as well. That's probably kind of where they, not necessarily where they met, because obviously same school, but I think that's where they became friends, was in the film club. Also, I think Joe's quite into music as well. So the whole record collection thing. Yeah, I can see that being a. But I think they put, he was definitely back into music back in the day. Well, I say back in the day, it's a few years ago, but from our perspective, from our characters' perspectives.
I mean, I would have wanted to connect with you about music because I'm sure that you were into like the whole indie thing and things like that. And you're probably one of the very few people that I could have talked to about the Dave Matthews Band.
I think Andrew was kind of in this weird in-between state a lot in school, where I think everyone in the game group probably, and the people in the college prep class, the uni prep class in general, kind of thought Andrew was a bit of a jock and really into football, which he was. But on the other hand, like most of the other football players were like, oh, he's going to the uni prep course and he plays these role-playing games and miniature games, and they all thought Andrew was like the nerd, right? So in some sense, like Andrew kind of didn't really fit in totally into either world, because everybody just saw him as part of the other side. So in that sense, like I think Andrew didn't like, he wasn't like into music and art really. It wasn't something he talked about. But he did totally love the games, and he spent so much time hanging out with you. Like I imagine we probably did some like study group stuff around the uni prep course too. So he definitely felt like just close to everybody, time wise.
Maybe one kind of intersection there for like art versus more of the jock kind of stuff. I think Auley would have been into theater, into drama and like set design kind of stuff, as well as like carpentry. So kind of like maybe that's how one reason why he knew everyone was kind of like going between a bunch of different worlds before the game group kind of got together. And I think music for sure, as far as Lil, if Lil was into, I think you mentioned popular television shows and some, what was on the music front?
So she's a weird mix, right? She's got the medieval English literature, but then Friends. But she has a huge, at least at this stage, right, that we're talking about now. So maybe in high school it wouldn't have been quite what it is. But now she has like a huge collection of records and a really well-maintained vintage. but she's always been interested in music from a variety of genres, and like, tried to cultivate knowledge and collection. I sort of thought she was probably into theater or musical theater, and then I was like, I just have too many characteristics, so I dropped that. But
let's meet in between and say I showed you my record collection of 70s era The Hobbit cartoon soundtrack.
yes,
Similar kind of stuff. And that's like the intersection of theater and music and D&D.
Awesome, thank you. Cool. So, what time are we at? I'm just going to have a quick. I'm just going to have a quick flick again through the example questions that Kieran gives, just so that I can identify if I have missed any obvious things that we'll kind of need going forwards. But I think I've got a fairly good grasp on the dynamics between our personas here, and we will yeah, I think the so yeah, I think the only thing going to yeah, so does anyone else have any questions that they want to ask of anyone?
just if anybody else wanted to ask the same question I did. I'm poking at Andrew/Walter in the chat about not having very many things. But I don't know, I'm just trying to find as many connections as possible, so there are as many opportunities as possible for things to come up and be discussed. So, like,
Yeah,
could I look at your guys' things and maybe draw some connections?
I mean, one thing that I have wondered about is a little bit about like maybe what Andrew's or like any of our dating lives. I don't know. Maybe we didn't. I mean, I suppose we were all relatively young and probably for studying didn't have a whole lot of time for dating. But that's something that we haven't really touched on. We've like talked about our relationships with each other, but not like did any of us date much outside of generally when we were young.
Yeah, sure thing. So yeah, I will put that back to Andrew in that case. So yeah, what did Andrew have like a string of partners, girlfriends, boyfriends, what have you, throughout high school, or was that never something he was into?
I think he. I want to say that he had like maybe the last year and a half or something that there was a girl that he dated from the school, but they weren't like they were. He was really busy, didn't like have a whole lot of time for it, and like as soon as he graduated and went to uni, he just kind of unceremoniously like dumped her. Right? It was just like, oh yeah, I'm going to uni. It's over.
Sure thing.
And I don't know. Maybe somebody knew her. Maybe she like would confide in somebody in the group. I don't know.
I mean, I'm kind of setting myself up as someone people would confide to, and I am also the only female person in the group.
Yeah, even if you didn't know her well,
But-
maybe you like at least talk to her on occasion, right?
I imagine I would. The question is whether I liked her or not. Like, I think I'm very protective of our group and whatnot. So that might be an interesting thing to figure out over the course of time, is whether that was my interactions with her were positive or negative. But I think as the only other female presence in your like social orbit of that nature, she would end up talking to me, at least from my memories of being in high school right around that time period. You would talk to the other girl in the room, and not one of the other boys necessarily, if it was a thing. I had a thing possibly with Andrew that I think, like, Audrey's just sort of into the arts, right? Like, we've covered music, we've covered like literature, and that she at least has a passing interest in theater. I would say that she was probably not interested in the playing the miniatures as much as like that she got a bunch of little craft paints and the tiny paint brushes and was willing to paint the little miniatures like custom for the group. Because she knew that Andrew really liked playing with miniatures and she like wanted to make a
Nice.
special thing.
That actually could have been something that she and Andrew had in common, right? Like, I think Andrew probably had like, this big collection of like, 50 Warhammer 40K miniatures, right? All of his Space Marines with their giant, like ridiculously oversized armor and guns, and he was, I can imagine there being like a moment, right, when they're like, maybe even got together and like, we're just like spent a weekend painting a bunch of miniatures together. And
Yeah.
and I imagine
Like maybe
Audrey
I saw
going,
you one day like using Sharpies to try to like just give them basic. And I was like, hey, like I happen to know because I like art and stuff. And like, I actually only know this because I actually like art and have encountered this, that you can use craft paints to paint miniatures and you can use the same miniature brushes that you use for detail work in paintings for miniatures. Like I put
Yeah.
it together and was very excited. I was like, oh, I know a new gaming thing by being an artist. And so like I had discovered this and saw you like, trying to at least put different colored armor on with like markers, like Sharpies, because that's what I imagine a normal kid would use, unless you want to be really into art. And like
no, I don't think he was. Yeah, I think you described it right. Like he did it very rudimentary, and you actually like showed him, like how to do highlights and lowlights and shadows and stuff, and he was like, oh, that's cool, right? And he like totally like upped his game a lot from that. And yeah, and maybe it was even like somewhat like somewhat like this weird moment in time where for like maybe like 3 weekends, like we got together and we painted all these miniatures and it was really fun. And maybe we even like talked pretty openly about stuff we normally didn't talk about. And then like the miniatures in Andrew's 40K set were all painted. And like, that was it. Like, it was like those conversations never happened
That's
again.
perfect,
Like you never got
actually.
together again.
That is perfect. Yeah, that fits very well with what I'm thinking.
Nice. Yeah, that's a really nice little touch. So for Edward, is Edward in a relationship at the moment, or more than one relationship at the moment?
Well, at the moment, I'm focused on my career. I have a great new account that's starting. It's a little beneath me. It's for a toy store, but who knows? Maybe I can do the same thing with that I did with Rocker Energy Drink. So there's I'm seeing people. Nothing serious. So far, nothing past a first date. Repeatedly. Not sure why. They say they're busy afterwards, so I'm sure I'm sure they're just as focused on their career as I am on mine. So, but I've been seeing people, a number of people. No kids, God no kids, not now, not ever. I have already I've gone through a surgical procedure to make sure that does not happen. Kids are not part of my life's plan. I have absolutely no interest in that. No kids, no children, no kids. So yeah, I mean, I'm doing all right for myself. I get hit up on Tinder pretty frequently, and we go out, we have a good time, and we're all busy.
Cool. Yeah, that's nice. And then to take it back. Obviously, we know that that you never actually asked Lil out, but was there anyone you did date while we were in school together?
Well, I thought about asking some people out, but I was so busy with school and there was school, there were classes, and there were tests to study for, and then there was the RPG club, of course, and but I was just really busy.
Sure thing. Cool. There was another thing that I had in mind. Yes. So going back to Andrew, we obviously know your kind of midterm plans, I guess. Your sort of career-wise, that sort of thing. If you had the opportunity, tomorrow to do any one thing, anything in the world, what would it be?
Wow, that's interesting. Let's see. Give me one moment. I just want to check something.
Go ahead.
I think the the World Cup in this coming summer is going to be in Japan, and he would love to go to Japan and just like watch the whole World Cup this coming summer. That's like his like dream that he knows he can't do. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I think that seems like a valid answer.
I think maybe something else though, maybe more interesting actually, is he's been dating a bit in London, and there's this one woman that he's been dating for a while, and everything was really good and casual and really pleasant. And now she's like putting a lot of pressure on him. She really wants him to meet her parents, and he's just feeling like this is not going the direction he wants it to go, and so he's like not sure what to do. He's like thinking, like he's kind of spending Christmas break like thinking, I should probably end this. This is getting to be too much of a hassle.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that sounds good. Perfect. So and I think actually I will ask the same question of Edward again. Obviously, your career is on the rise, and your meteoric success is guaranteed. But what one thing above anything else would you like to do or have or be?
I'd like to have more money.
Cool.
That's pretty much it. Just more money.
Nice.
I mean, I already have a lot of money, but more is better than less. I mean, if there's one thing that math should have taught us, it is that. More is always better than less. And more money in particular is better than less money. Now, I have a question for everybody. How much do you love Rocker Energy Drink? And how can I get you to drink more of it?
You know what? Andrew probably drinks plenty of Rocker Energy Drink. In the evenings, he probably mixes it with vodka.
I was going to say, I don't think that Joe is really all that into Rocker Energy Drink. Well, he doesn't really like Rocker Energy Drink, but he has certainly had more than one vodka and Rockers in the Union Bar.
So how can I get you to drink more of it?
You could probably get the packing facility to stock it in the vending machine.
That is an outstanding idea. Edward respects Auley more. That is an outstanding idea. Putting it in vending machines. Brilliant. Frankly, I want to hire you. You're an idea person, I can tell.
I keep most of my ideas to myself, but when you ask.
I think
You may
Audrey.
us with a new job. You were saying, Lil?
I think that because Lil is fond of Edward and knows it's important to him, that she tries to like manage to drink them, or at least pretend to drink them, and maybe like quietly pour some of them out when he's not looking, but like when he's around, because she wants him to feel supported. And
But-
like if he's actively watching, like she will drink it, even though it's disgusting.
But we haven't seen you since high school, so how would you know about this?
When we meet up.
Ah, I see. Okay.
I'm assuming you're going to make it very obvious very quickly. And you will have brought a bunch for all of us to drink, right?
Oh, of
Because
course.
you're promoting it.
I'll
So
have brought 4 packs.
I'm predicting
Everybody. 4
that's
packs
how that's
all
gonna be.
around. I've even brought the new flavors.
Yeah, I'm
Ones that
sure.
haven't hit the market yet. Yeah,
And
you're
once
getting
we're in character, I won't be able to explain exactly what's happening with me drinking them. But so I'm telling you now, it's going to be so that you will feel like you are being respected, and that it's not because Bill actually wants to drink a bunch of energy drinks.
The flavor scientists have done some truly remarkable things with it. The orange actually tastes like something that was somewhat citrus adjacent at one point. It's amazing.
Nice. Okay, so so we're coming up to 10:30 my time. Well, 25 past 10 my time. So what I'm going to do is, I think we've probably got, like I said, I think I've got a handle on everyone now, and I think we've got some nice tensions and conflicts set up within the group that will we can explore. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a quick 5-minute break, come back at 1:30, and then we will go into character. We will. In my role as Joe, I will explain the game. We'll set up the scene, and I'll explain sort of the game we were going to play. I will give. What I'm probably going to do is slightly tweak, just because I'm aware of time. Does anyone have problems if we overrun by? I'll try not like to let us overrun too long, but just if we go over by a little bit at the end, does anyone have to sort of make a sharp exit at on the hour? No, cool. So I'll try and keep it fairly directed in this first little scene, but yeah, I'll just have I'll be aware of having a bit of slack time to play with. That's cool because there's a fair bit to cover still in that. But yeah, with that said, if we'll take a quick 5 minutes now, and then we'll when we come back we will don our masks. Okay, see you in a couple. Cool. Okay. I think we're all back. I just need 1 second to fiddle about with. I meant to do this earlier, but forgot. Okay, so yeah, so for that moment of distraction. I shared with the other two earlier when they first put the thing on, but then forgot. Pearl and Walter, I've sent you. You should both now get a link to a subfolder within that main folder where I will put stuff for you at some point. So yeah, that's the. It's not super important to keep secrets, but at the same time, the game does play a little bit with a certain amount of mystique as to how the other characters work. So again, it's not a big deal if you've read through this material beforehand, but I will be keeping it segregated out for you when we do play. Just as I said, build that little air of mystique around this. A lot of this game is designed sort of around the idea that you are playing in person rather than online. So well, I think it's going to work here. There are some little tricks that don't work quite as well in an online medium.
Quick question, and if I'm asking this too soon, please do let me know.
Yep.
Are we playing this as Die is a game in the world in which our characters inhabit, or is it a realm that they are transported to as it is in the comic?
So Die is a game that I will be introducing in character in a moment. It will all become clear as we play. Are there any other last minute bits that I haven't done yet before we get into the actual role play? I think that I think I'm good with. I think I'm good with where we're all at. So the scene we'll be setting is said it's Christmas. It's probably in that lull between Christmas Day and New Year, where everyone's had far too much food and drink, and nothing's really happening especially out here in the sticks. Basically everything's shut down. There's little to do but be with family. And by this point, most of us have probably been with our families for about a week. So, there's that. And through one means or another, Joe has got in touch with everyone and invited them all out to his house. As I say, he lives a little bit outside of town. One of the villages a couple of miles away. It's a bit more rural. It's rural everywhere, but it's a sort of, he lives in an old farmhouse. It's not an active farm anymore. His parents work in accounting, maybe, but it's a nice old farmhouse, a little bit remote from the village. Well, just outside the village, and everyone has made their way here. It's cold, it's damp, it's grey. There are about 4 hours of light in the day, but the house is warm. There's as we come in, there's a wood fire burning, and the house sort of smells. There's that kind of lingering scent of smoke throughout the house, and either one by one or in groups, you have arrived at Joe's place, and you will have been invited, shown up to Joe's room. It's actually a fairly large room, quite a low ceiling, because it's an old farmhouse, but a relatively large room. He's actually got, as you come up, he has got a little folding table set up and some folding chairs around. It's obviously not in the room normally, but some space has been cleared. There's that sort of lingering, few rolled up dirty clothes sort of kicked back under the bed. A few posters on the wall. There's Blur and Oasis, and a couple of other bands who were popular a few years back. There's the big classic Uma Thurman Pulp Fiction poster up on one wall as well. And Joe will be, welcoming people in as they arrive. He's wearing kind of just like a pair of jeans. He's got a Franz Ferdinand t-shirt on, quite kind of skinny fit. He's quite not gangly exactly, but he's quite a skinny lad. He's got that sort of hair that's not quite in a style, but it's kind of, the fringe is down over his eyes a bit. Looks like it's sort of halfway between two different styles at the minute. So I'll get each of you to do a quick introduction of your character arriving, and then we'll get down to it. I'll probably, just because of our time limitations, I'll probably be going through this little bit of it at pace, but I do also want to give people a chance to introduce their characters. So who do you think will be the first person to arrive?
I mean, I would imagine it would be Joe if he's the person to put it together.
Oh yes, so sorry, this is at Joe's house, so yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's not at a pub. See, this I mixed up the pub joke earlier, and then
no worries.
kernel of very little brain. Okay.
Sorry, my fault. That joke.
I'll say it's me because I live in the area. So,
I was actually. Auley, I was. If you have another idea, it's fine. But I was going to suggest that maybe Auley and Andrew got together first and head over to Joe's together.
They've quite possibly been spending some time together over the holidays anyway. So.
Yeah, and would Andrew maybe even be staying at my place?
Oh yeah, I could see that. Yeah. My parents are fine, but they totally get to me. Yeah, I could definitely see us going out. Maybe last night we went out and had a lock-in at the pub, and I just went over and crashed at your place because it was closer.
lock-ins at the pub are a very likely possibility. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So Andrew and I arrive first. There's a ring of the doorbell. What is your spot like in this farmhouse?
Yeah, so I said it's a sort of an old. This is an old brick, an old sort of red brick farmhouse. Fairly that sort of fairly square architecture. It's not particularly fancy, but it's quite a nice house. And I think he opens the front door. Says, "Oh, Auley, Andrew, great to see you both. It's cool that you could both make it. Come on in. He's going to lead you, like I said, in through the house. It's it's quite nicely decorated for Christmas. And you know,
Do you think we've been here before? Is this a place we might have been in high school?
but I think it's likely you have been here before. Yeah. It probably wasn't like the usual destination because it's a little bit out of town. But he's definitely had like parties and stuff, or at least gatherings here that you've probably been to in the past.
Nice. Hey, Joe. It's good to see you, man.
So yeah, it's been great. It's been ages. I know I've been away and I've not really been back much. I must admit since I left. But yeah, it's great to see everyone come upstairs. Yeah, and he'll sort of lead people up, and yeah, it said room is as described. Sort of posters on the wall, little fold-out table.
Joe,
chair.
where can we put where can we put a drink? And I think I have like a bottle of some bourbon that I brought to like as a gift for the house.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you can just like leave it here in the kitchen, or bring it up if you want. And I've got some glasses and stuff up there.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, this is just for us.
Yeah, I know it's kind of a little early in the day, but I wouldn't mind some hair of the dog sooner than later.
Sure. Yeah.
So Joe, you got everybody's coming over. Is that right?
Well, yeah, should
We
be.
got-
They.
Eddie and Lil's going to be here. That's so awesome.
Yeah, I know. I
It'll be
just
like old times.
I bumped into Lil in town the other day. I must say I've not heard from her at all, since school. But yeah, I just bumped into her at the shops.
God, I don't think I've talked to her since we graduated. I like completely lost track of her. Wow, that's so cool. It's going to be great to see Lil again.
Awesome. But yeah, I said
This place has really changed.
yeah, I know. Like I think Mum did some redecorating and stuff while I was away, and yeah, it's funny how it's how much stuff changes when you're away for a bit.
You know what? I realized that we pretty much only ever saw your room when we used to come here before. Where will we be playing?
Yeah, we're going to be up in my room, so I've got like a table and that up there. So yeah. Said we can go up now if you want, and glanced down at his watch. Says yeah, the others should be here.
Oh, that's awesome! Just like
soon,
old times. Hey, I even brought some of my miniatures over. Check it out. I found this in the back of my closet. I haven't opened this box in like 3 years. This is so great. If I mean, we're gonna play, right? That'd be awesome if I can take.
Yeah,
some of these
yeah,
out.
that would be cool. Yeah. So yeah, I think with that, we'll head on upstairs. So who? So I think, yeah, Lil, I think is. So she'll probably be last. So yeah, if Edward wants to make an entrance.
Oh, yeah. So, how's everybody doing?
Hey, hey Eddy, how's it going?
It's Edward, but
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, Edward. Yeah.
It's going great. Listen, I've got some stuff out in the boot. Can you help me?
Sure.
Listen, I don't know if you know, but I've been working with Rocker Energy Drink for a while. I brought along a case of the new flavors just to kind of like pass around, just so you know, in case anybody gets thirsty, you know, needs to keep their energy up. This stuff hasn't even hit the market. It's spectacular stuff. Everybody here already?
Lil's not here. I think she's going to make it. I saw her in town the other day, and she said she'd come. So hopefully she'll be here. I've not seen her in years, but yeah, Andrew and Auley are upstairs.
Andrew creeps down the stairs. He's like, Eddy, hey, I thought I heard you down here. What's up? Andrew kind of like charges down the stairs. He's like, yeah, buddy, put it here.
It's Edward, and I kind of
Edward,
a half-hearted, like
word indeed, Edward.
Yeah, half-assed.
The Edderino.
Just Edward. Edward's fine.
You got it, Eduardo. I'm kidding. Hey, come on.
We were just
it's so good to see you, buddy.
We got to bring some stuff in. I brought, you know, I don't know if you know, but I've been working for Rocker Energy Drink lately. Been working on their ad campaign for them. I've got a case of brand new flavors that haven't even hit the market yet, and I just thought it's a way to keep that. Make sure nobody gets thirsty.
I will totally help you take those out of the car. I will probably drink one before we get them into the house. Let's do that. Andrew's like heading right out.
I guess that's covered then, Joe. So
cool. Yeah, I'll go up and see how Ollie's getting on, and yeah, you guys, well, you know the way.
Yeah,
and yeah, he'll head up to his room.
So walk outside, and it's like, I haven't seen you in a while. How you been, Andrew?
I've been great. This is, you know, it's nice to be home. I love London, but I mean, God, just the air out here. Oh my God. I've been here a week, staying at my parents' place. It still smells like fresh air every day. It's just, it's nice. You know, I honestly, I miss Keythorpe. How have you been?
I'm doing all right. I mean, it's, you know, like I said, I've been working with Rocker, and we actually decided to, we thought about moving into London, but then we decided that there's just something a little bit more authentic about staying true to our roots. So you know, we opted not to move out there. We opted to just kind of like stay here in Norwich, and, you know, and just like stay really close to the people, you know, like, you know, the whole big city thing, man, it's just, it's kind of fake, you know. So we, you know, we just, you know, you're trying to keep it real.
Yeah, cool. Oh, hey, what? Oh my God, is that Lily? Lil, hey, come on, hey, Edward. Hey, Lil, how you doing?
Edward, Andrew. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God, this is so amazing. I did not
Cool.
expect to see you when I came out for Christmas this year.
I know. I don't think I've seen any of you guys since high school, but I ran into Joe the other day, and he said maybe we could get the old crew together to play, and I just thought it's been too long, you know?
Ah, serendipity, meant to be.
I really miss you guys.
Great. I have like sometimes I'm just like, where did everybody go? I had no idea where you went.
We discovered.
You're like, I mean, are you still like in the area? Do you live around here?
Not.
I never see you when I walk
as
around
high.
downtown. I mean, I'm not here very often, but it's small.
Yeah.
It's like, High Street's not that long. I run into a lot of people when I'm here visiting.
Yeah, I'm not really in town anymore. I've been doing a little bit of traveling, and I kind of moved out of the area. I wanted to just do some other things, but hey, like, bring it on in, guys. Come on, I haven't seen you in 4 years.
Yeah, we're here now.
Come on.
Oh, totally. Yes, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
So glad to see you
Right.
guys.
That's enough. That's
My
enough.
boys. Edward, you want a hug.
It's
You can still be manly.
fine.
I think biggest hug for my Edward.
Oof.
So should we go in? Is everyone here?
When did you get so strong?
I think I was always strong. Maybe you just underestimated
Popped
me.
my back.
Oh, well, maybe your back just didn't need to use or used to need popping. We are all getting older now that we're 20 or whatever. But no, I just missed you a lot. You're feeling the force of my love. I love all you boys. You were my guys for our whole lives in high school. I'm so happy to see you guys.
All right, let's get inside. Oh my God, Edward, how much of this rocker did you bring? We're not going to be able to drink all this. I got it though. All right, here, I'm bringing this box inside.
Sample some. You don't have to drink it all.
What are you guys doing?
Well, I work for Rocker Energy Drink now. I developed like the ad campaign that broke it open. So I brought along a case of the new flavors that haven't hit the market yet, just so everybody could try them and get a taste for them. And it's that's kind of what I've been up to.
Congratulations!
Just
getting the
breaking
job.
open like the third biggest energy drink in the world right now.
That's fabulous! Congratulations, Edward.
That'll be fabulous, and you congratulate me when it's number one.
All
you just
right.
got to get past Monster and Rockstar and Red Bull.
And yours is... Which one is yours called again?
Rocker.
Rocker.
Like,
Rocker.
I'm a rocker. Yow! With the guitar on the can. Yeah, it's the one with the guitar on the can. The Boys Are Back in Town ad campaign.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah,
you saw it?
I don't watch a lot of TV, but I think I have seen that. So yeah, let's get these rockers inside. Are Joe and Auley there already? I mean, I guess Joe would be here.
Joe went back inside. I guess Ollie's already upstairs.
Awesome. So it's the whole gang. Let's get up there. We have rockers to drink.
Speaking of which, back upstairs, Joe, what does the room look like?
Yeah, so like I said, it's got that look, like there's bookshelves on the wall, but like you can tell there are like sections of books missing from the bookshelves. There's a desk, which clearly had a computer on it, but again the computer isn't here at the minute. There's I said there's a couple. There's quite a few posters on the wall for like bands, like I said, Blur, Oasis, those sort of things. About the bands essentially that I listen to while they're in school, but nothing from the last couple of years.
I think I looked around and I asked you, so what are we gonna play? I
won't explain it all now because I'll wait for the others to get here. But I think it's kind of cool. It's not like a big thing, but it's something I managed to pick up at a carboot sale in Coventry. It's
oh wow.
Well, I won't spoil the surprise now, but it's pretty cool. But
an American game or
no, it's kind of weird, but like like I said, I'll wait till the others are here. But how's things been with you anyway? I heard that you'd been you just you'd stayed here, and he kind of he sort of looks your
My mother.
Yes, yeah. And my mum, she said she'd seen you the other week with your friend, the teacher.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Liam. No, that's a thing. I'll have to tell you about more.
Cool.
Maybe if we get some beers after this, or
no, that'd be cool.
Your mom's good. Your mom's good. I see her off and on.
Yeah. She likes to keep an eye on everything that's going on. You know how it is.
Oh, I do. Yeah. No, I keep. It's every day is like a holiday for me. Right.
Yeah. Well. It's good to see you and see everyone again. It's been too long, really. I should have come back sooner, but you know how these things get. I don't know.
Hey, look, don't be a stranger. And if you ever need, I know how your mom can be, right? And if you ever need a place to stay, you can bed up at my place. All right.
Sure. That's thanks for.
Okay. Is this about when our other friends enter? Probably. I like imagining all the sound effects for this portion. I was imagining like the squeak of gravel on under rubber, as people are arriving, and now I imagine in this farmhouse we can hear like the heavy steps coming up the stairway to your room, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm a big fan of trying to make those sounds, like finding like a book to thump or something. You know what I mean? I didn't want to interrupt your scene if you guys still had stuff going on, but I think this might be a good time to come up.
During your scene downstairs, you heard Andrew just kind of open up the refrigerator and start shoving things around and stocking it full of all the energy drinks. So we got some cold ones, and then he bursts into the room. He's got some glasses with some ice and some of the energy drinks, and he's like, "All right, let's do this."
You're not touching my bourbon with any of that stuff.
Oh no, not the bourbon. But I mean, we can't drink bourbon all day, so I say we start off with a round of bourbon, and then it's energy drink and dice for the rest of the afternoon.
Awesome.
Hey guys.
Hello. How's it going? It's well, I mean, I know I saw you the other day, but it's good to see you again. It's been too long.
It's being back here is such a trip. It's all coming back. Think of how many hours we spent here. How many, campaigns, and I don't know. We've been away so long, and being back is just feels like we lived a lifetime, like in this room.
Hey, Lil.
Hey.
Well, I suppose, like, obviously help yourself to drinks. And there's as well as the bourbon and energy drinks. There's also like a probably a sort of 8-pack of Red Stripe and a bottle of like off-brand vodka. Sort of on and like some soft drinks sort of on one side of the room. But so like I thought it would be cool. I mean, like I thought it would be cool to get everyone back together again. But what made me think about it? What was I found the other day, the other week, I just went to a carboot sale back in Coventry, and he sort of reaches down like under the desk and pulls out what just looks like a battered cardboard box, essentially, and puts it on the table. Now, I don't know if you remember. I mean, this happened a little bit before we like really got into gaming, but there were stories around about it at the time about those kids who were like playing a role-playing game and then just like disappeared off the face of the planet, and they weren't seen again for another 2 years. And I think like one of them didn't come back or something. It was the whole thing about it in the
I remember. It was really tragic, right? But I mean, this is getting really heavy, and I haven't even gotten my hug from Auley yet. Like, we haven't seen each other in 4 years. Can I just get a hug and find out how people are doing before we launch into murder stories?
Yeah, no, sure. Of course. Sorry,
I didn't come to this as more like murder hobo bullshit. We're not doing that, right? I mean, seriously,
either way,
this isn't a dungeon crawl, right?
No, I think we all graduated from dungeon crawls by like 9th grade. Come on, you remember all the wonderful campaigns we did. Auley,
I know. I'm just saying.
Don't think you're getting away without that hug. I want that hug. Come here, bring it in.
I'll definitely like scooch around people to give you a big, really long hug.
There's my boy. I love your earring. It's wonderful.
Oh, that's better. Now take back what you said about those dungeon crawls. Thanks.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right.
And I'm sure we're all loving miniatures still too, and
Yeah.
Oh yeah, check it out. I brought some of mine.
Were they the ones we painted?
Oh yeah, here, look. Check this out.
Those.
There's the dwarf. Remember that? That was the dwarf that you showed me how to do the cloak. Look at that. It still looks great. You were totally right.
Some of my favorite weekends.
Putting the top coat on it. These lasted forever.
Oh my god!
I'm so glad.
Is that Grimrod? Did I let you?
Yeah. Check it out. Check out that battle axe.
Oh,
man, I shouldn't have stayed away this long. I'm just so happy to see you guys.
I mean, Andrew, you got to admit, it's been years. Grimrod was a dick joke, wasn't it?
I mean, well, duh. Come on, Edward.
You denied it back then. You just you said up and down, no way, it's a traditional dwarvish name. I knew it.
Well, I mean, in the world I created, it's traditional dwarvish name.
You all have not changed at all, have you?
What are we playing today?
That confirms the answer to that question. I think, Joe, you had a box?
Yeah. So like I said, that it's like it's probably just one of those, urban legend things, but like apparently this game, and he just sort of like touches the box. Apparently this is like the game that they were playing when they disappeared. And I don't just mean like, the same game. I don't just mean like, the system. I mean like this is apparently the game. This old woman was selling it at this woman was selling it at the car boot sale, and I mean it might just be nonsense, but
Wait. Do you mean it's like the game they played, or you mean it's like the physical books that these kids played with?
Yeah. It's like this.
Oh, dude.
It's like this whole weird. It's like this whole
weird. That's like some Ouija board shit, dude. What are you?
I know.
Morbid.
Right? But yeah,
it's like you're telling us we're gonna play Mazes and Monsters today.
I mean, like it's it's
Like,
a
has
bit.
anyone heard of Jumanji? Did anybody else see Jumanji? This
Oh
was
yeah,
Jumanji
that
to
was
me.
cool. I mean,
Was that cool though? If it had actually happened, would that have been cool? I don't know that was.
well, I mean, not all of it, I guess, but look,
Jumanji's just glorified shoots and ladders anyway. It's not that. It wouldn't be that great.
no, but this is like all that aside, this game seems like pretty cool. I mean, it's it's a bit like dungeon crawly. Sorry, Edward. But it's like it's not just like all old Tolkien rip-offs. It's like there's a bit more to it. It's a bit
Like
the
Pendragon-y more to it?
sort of. I mean, the characters are like they have all these weird things. There's I'll explain it all properly, when we get down to play. But it's anyway, like I said, it just I saw it and I thought the story was cool, and it made me think, seeing as I was going to be back here, and I thought all of you would be as well over Christmas. I thought it'd be cool to do something together again, as this has been such a long time.
Well,
Yeah.
Anything.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. You're seeming a little weird, and this seems super weird. And I would probably generally not be down, but after not seeing you guys for so long, if you want me to play a creepy murdered people were playing it before a game out of a cardboard box while drinking rocker energy drinks, for you guys, I'll do it.
Yeah, I feel like this Christmas has been way too saccharine. All the holiday cheer and music, and I could use something a little edgy. This actually sounds pretty cool. This is going to be a nice change of pace. I like your style, Joe. Let's do this. Let's do something weird. I could use something that changes it up.
As long as we're not murder hobos, I mean, all of you know how I feel about just going around and mindlessly killing things. I wasn't into it then. I'm not into it now. This had better be something good.
Don't worry, Andrew. Edward, they've probably got a Tremere that you can play.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I know I never ran anything much back when we used to play, but I think I've got some. I think I've got some cool ideas. I think I've got something in here that everyone will enjoy. So. Yeah, if everyone wants to sit down, I'll sort of gesture at the table. And
what's the system based on? Like rolling dice, playing cards?
Yeah, it's dice. So for most things, there's just like a big bunch of d6 that you roll, and you're trying to get successes and stuff. It's quite it's quite loose. But the classes are kind of special, and there's I think you'll get a kick out of it.
All right. How does character creation go?
Well, this kind of comes with some like set set archetypes. So not exactly, but yes, it's a bit like that. But I'll give you each a character that I think you'll like, and we'll
really put some thought into this.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've missed all you guys, and it's good to see you
I missed you guys too, and it's really sweet that you set this up. I'm so happy to see you all. Let's play this weird cardboard box game. Give us our weird archetypes. Let's see 'em,
Sure.
Joe.
Sure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give each one of you your character sheet, and there's like a little bit of text on it for you to read out. It'll tell you what to say, and you can kind of read that just as an introduction to the class, and then we'll get some ideas, and we'll be able to play the game. Edward, for you, I know you're not really, like I said, I know you're not really into the whole murder hobo thing.
I never was.
No.
I'm more into the kind of the cerebral side of it. The thinking and the emotions and everything.
Yeah.
Emotions. I always love those in games.
And so
The more emotional, the better.
And so for you, there, I'm going to give you the Neo, and this is like, it's kind of like you're like a sort of hackery type, and you can like think your way around problems and control things, and I think you'll enjoy it. I think it gives you some sort of different approaches.
Hackery. What the hell kind of game is this?
It's like I said, it's a bit odd. It's like fantasy, but it's not Tolkien. It's
like Shadow.
How do you have hacking in a fantasy game?
Well, it's a bit like magic, I suppose. It's yeah. But like I said, I think you'll get a kick out of it.
It's like Star Wars, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Future, but fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
And for a penny and for a pound, I guess.
Cool. And as an out of character note, you should now, in the folder you have access to, see a character sheet in there, if I've given it to the right person. For you, Andrew, I know you always really like the kind of like getting into the combat and getting mixed up in things, and there's not like a fighter as such in this, but I think you'll like the Fool. They're
The Fool?
Yeah, I know it sounds like
a jester. He's got like ringing bell and a funny hat and stuff.
No, you're like more like a like a swashbuckler type. You sort of rush into danger and take things head on.
Oh, like Errol Flynn, Three Musketeers.
Yeah, that sort of
thing.
All
right. I'm not sure why they would call him the Fool. Why not the swashbuckler?
I don't know. It's weird. It's but hey, I think you'll like that.
All right. Yeah,
a little on the nose, Joe, isn't it?
I don't mean it like that. I don't think.
It's like in tarot decks, like they're archetypes, but they have deeper meanings. Probably.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's that sort of thing.
What's the deeper meaning of the Fool in the tarot deck?
I mean, I don't read tarot, but it's probably something like change in your life and accepting the unexpected or something.
No, the fool is the fool is the subject. They're like the protagonist. They're the main. Yeah, they're like the everyman, and their journey is what defines the story of the fortune that you tell with the tarot. Yeah, they're very important actually.
Huh.
I
Well,
didn't
all
know
right.
you were so into tarot. That's cool.
Yeah, and Lil, for you, I mean, it's like I said, I know how you always used to like, in playing Pendragon and doing all those sort of that idea of like the bards and all that stuff. So I thought you'd like the Dictator. You're like really good at like talking to people and influencing them, and giving them, affecting people's emotions and stuff. And I thought that would you'd like that.
Yeah, that sounds great. This is a cool game. You're right.
And
This is a game where you can avoid combat and stuff if you.
yeah, that's right.
Uh-huh.
But for you, Auley, I thought you can be the knight, and it's like, it's not just like a standard paladin thing, but you can like, you're the knight of an emotion, and you can kind of influence people. You can draw on that emotion and stand up for what you believe in, and that. And I think that would be cool for you.
Who chooses the emotion?
You get to choose that.
Oh, okay. All right.
So yeah. So at this point, I will ask. We'll go in. So we'll go from Walter through from Walter back to Andrew. Sorry, from I'm confusing my player names with my. I've not done too bad for so sorry. We'll go from Puckett, Eddy to Walter, Andrew, and if you can just, if hopefully everyone should have access to the correct character sheet. If there've been any mix-ups there, let me know and I'll sort them. But if you could read, there'll be on the first page, there'll be a bit of text for you to read out about the character class. It will tell you what to read and what not.
So we're reading the stuff above that blue-gray box?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Adventurers' lust for gold makes them all thieves, which makes the prejudice against rogues a little odd. They all do it, but everyone knows why people are suspicious about Neo. The Neo's magical and the technology needs to be activated by fair gold every day. It disappears every dawn. If they can't find enough, then all their gifts mean nothing. They chase it, some practically, some obsessively, most selfishly. Adventurers all want gold, but only Neo need it.
Was I next? I forget the order you wanted to go in.
David, you're muted.
Sorry, yes, I said sorry. Pearl next. Yeah, just going backwards to the character
Okay.
keeper, basically.
All right. The Dictator. You read a sad story. You cry. Do you think that's sinister, as if someone has taken over your emotions? Of course not. That's just what art is. Anyone who's ever met a dictator would disagree. This isn't what I was expecting. By performing, they alter other people's emotional states. Dictators play people like a musician plays a harp. They can pluck the strings, they can snap them. In D&D terms, they are like bards, if everyone was fucking petrified of bards. Well, this sounds like an adventure. get to be scary, you guys.
I mean, I guess you get to be scary. I get to be a junkie.
Yeah, that's the most badass sounding bard I've ever heard of. Well, maybe that's going to be good news for the fool then. We'll see.
Yes, I think Auley next.
All right. Well, gosh, let's see. So I'm the knight, and it looks like I get to choose an emotion that like rules my world, so to speak. These 8 orders of knights are the world's greatest warriors, each devoted to a single emotion, whether it be love, hate, or fear. That's what it says, but it looks like it could be anything. Like it could be rage, loathing, grief, terror, or ecstasy. Huh. If they feel it, they can use it to fuel the power of their ancient arcane weapons. Oh, I get like an intelligent weapon. That's really cool. When consumed by their sacred sensation, they are incomparable warriors capable of miraculous feats. Nothing can stand against their blades. Armies, mountains, even ideas. They can defeat anything except the passion which drives them. That's pretty different. I like it.
The Ecstasy Knight sounds a little bop chicka bow bow.
I think it's a little weird, but I'm looking at this wheel, and I think I know what I'm gonna do. I think I want. This might sound dumb now, but admiration seems like it's gonna be my emotion. That's connected to trust and acceptance.
That's an admirable choice.
You get it.
Oh man. Well, I mean, I don't know what to make of this description. All right. Apparently, this description is meant to be like saying or something. Wait, let's see. Oh wait, what? Oh, okay. All right. So, I mean, I can only guess that I'm supposed to sing this. This is what this appears to say. It says, "Always look on the bright side of life." I feel like I should have some tap dance shoes. Always look on the bright side of life. Hey, always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life. And if you don't, things will be worse. Fools rush in, and their friends have to deal with the consequences. That's all my character sheet says above the gray box.
I mean, that just kind of sounds like you.
Yeah. All right. Can we move on? Let's go on with this.
I mean, if you did it again, I could have the like doo 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 doo
I
that
know,
comes
right?
after the thing. I didn't catch it until it was too late, and you had that weird ending.
If you thought that was good, wait till I have another energy drink.
Oh boy.
Okay.
So yeah,
The
Joe,
boys are back in
what's
town.
yours?
Rocker.
So
where does that leave me?
So here's like the this is really cool. And he reaches into the cardboard box and pulls out like a carved wooden box and flicks open the little metal catch on it, lifts it up, and inside is a set of your standard polyhedral dice. It says, this is
Those are some.
This is kind of cool. So each one of you gets like one of these dice. And the dice, like I said, they're the standard polyhedral dice, but they're kind of opalescent almost. They look like they're actually carved from, stone, like a semi-precious stone of some sort that sort of catches the light. reflects it back. Edward, this, it picks up the D10 and it holds it up, and the facets of it glitter in the light in the room. This is your die. There's no other die like this in the whole game. This is special. This is yours. And he hands it over and puts it in your hand, and it feels weighty. It's got that weight of stone, but maybe something a little more to it. Lil, and he picks up at the D4 and holds it out towards you. This is your dice. There's no other dice like this in the whole game. This is special. This is yours. And again, he puts it into your hand, and it's got that weight and that odd like mixture between cold and warmth of a stone to it. He picks up the D12 and holds it out to Auley. This is your die. There's no other die like this in the whole game. This is special. This is yours. And again, he passes the dice to you, and as he passes it to you, it almost feels like that sort of static shock as it's passed from one hand to the other. And finally, Andrew.
Let me guess. It's a special die. There's no other die in the game like it.
No, and he picks up the D6. This is your die. It's exactly like all the other dice in the game.
Excuse me? All right. All right, let's just play this game. This is weird. Whatever.
But however, there is still that weightiness to this die, that sense of solidity that's unlike there's a scattering of the standard pipped D6s just scattered across the table as well. And finally, Joe picks up the D20. This one is mine, and he puts it on the table in front of him. And so what I'm going to do here, because we're an hour half past, so I kind of need to leave shortly. But so what I think we're going to do is we'll have a chat online. Have a chat through like Hangouts or whatever about actually defining your characters specifically, because I think we can just do that offline. It's not too difficult. I can answer questions that people have. We will assume that those characters have been sorted out by this point. And you say, now, I want each one of you to pick up your die and hold it in your hand. Now, close your eyes. And that's where we will leave it this evening. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you've all enjoyed that. I'd say we spent a lot longer on the generating personas than I was anticipating, but I had a really good time doing it. So I think that was a worthwhile use of an evening. So thank you very much, everyone. I will stop our recording now.